Well, greetings and welcome. December 20th, Luke chapter 20, where Jesus has entered into Jerusalem and now has some final thoughts and teachings and parables, and the time is getting close. It's in the last week of his life. Chapter 20 begins in this way. One day as he was teaching the people, remember the people who gathered around him? There's the disciples, and then there's the 12, the apostles. One day as he was teaching the people in the temple and telling them the good news, the chief priests and the scribes came with the elders, and they, the whole church council, and said to him, "Tell us, by what authority are you doing these things? Who is it who gave you this authority?" He answered them, "I will also ask you a question, and you tell me, did the baptism of John come from heaven, or was it of human origin?" They discussed it among themselves, saying, "Let's see, if we say from heaven, he will say, 'Why did you not believe him?' But if we say of human origin, all the people will stone us, for they are convinced that John was a prophet." So they answered him, they didn't know where it came from. Then Jesus said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I am doing these things." He began to tell them a parable. A man planted a vineyard and leased it out to tenants and went to another country for a long time. When the season came, he sent a slave to the tenants in order that they might give him his share of the produce of the vineyard, but the tenants beat him and sent him away empty-handed. Next he sent another slave. That one they beat and insulted and sent away empty-handed. Those are the prophets, of course, that Jesus is talking about. And he still sent a third. This time they also wounded and threw him out. Then the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I will send my beloved son." Remember baptism, "This is my son, the beloved, listen to him." "Perhaps they will respect him." But when the tenants saw him, they discussed it among themselves and said, "This is the heir. Let us kill him so that the inheritance may be ours." So they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. What will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. This is representing the people of Israel. He'll give it to others, the Gentiles. When they heard this, they said, "Heaven forbid." But he looked at them and said, "What then does this text mean? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Everyone who falls on that stone will be broken to pieces, and it will crush anyone on whom it falls." When the scribes and chief priests realized that he told this parable against them, they wanted to lay hands on him at that very hour, but they feared the people. So they watched him and sent spies to pretend to be honest in order to trap him by what he said, so as to hand him over to the jurisdiction and authority of the governor. So they asked him, "Teacher, we know that you're right in what you teach and that you make no deference to anyone, but teach the way of God in accordance with the truth." They said this to trap him. "Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not?" But Jesus perceived their craftiness and said to them, "Show me a denarius, a little coin. Whose head and whose title does it bear?" And they said, "The emperor's." He said to them, "Then give to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." And they were not able in the presence of the people to trap him by what he said. And being amazed by his answer, they became silent. Some Sadducees, those who say that there's no resurrection, came to him and asked him a question. "Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, leaving a wife with no children, the man shall marry the widow and raise up children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first married and died childless. Second and the third married her. In the same way, all 7 died childless. Finally, the woman died. In the resurrection, therefore, that they deny, these Sadducees, whose wife will the woman be? For the 7 had married her." Jesus said to them, "Those who belong to this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are considered worthy of a place in that age and a resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. Indeed, they cannot die anymore, because they are like angels and are children of God, being children of the resurrection. And the fact that the dead are raised, Moses himself showed in the story about the bush, the burning bush, where he speaks of the Lord, of God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob. Now he is God not of the dead, but of the living, for to him all of them are alive. Then some of the scribes answered, Teacher, you have spoken well, for they've no longer dared him to ask him another question. Then he said to them, How can you say that the Messiah is David's son? For David himself says in the book of Psalms, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstools. David thus calls himself Lord, so how can he be his son? So they're sitting there going, let's see, if he's Lord and son, brain overload. In the hearing of all the people, he said to the disciples, these are the crowds that matter. In the hearing of all the people, he said to the disciples, Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes and love to be greeted with respect in the marketplace, and to have the best seats in the synagogue and places of honor at banquets. They devour white widows' houses for the sake of appearance and say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation. Woo, man. So this is the increasing hostility and conflict in the Gospel of Luke by the religious authorities toward Jesus because of some of the stuff that he says against them. Main thing is he says, Follow me and live lives of faithful discipleship. Our prayer today is a Christmas Eve prayer from Essential Christmas Prayers. It goes like this. Father, you have made this holy night radiant with the splendor of Jesus Christ our light. We welcome him as Lord, the true light of the world. Bring to us eternal joy of the kingdom of heaven, where he lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God forever and ever. That is Luke 20, day 20. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. You take care. Bye-bye.